For us, what is security? Like $1 million in the bank, but not even, I don't know. But we have our own picture of what security is.
It's a feeling.
The feeling, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have a feeling of security of what, of certain things in our time today. Unlike in their time, it's about walls, angels guarding. I mean, I'd like the feeling of having angels guarding too, so that's...
But you know how you live in a house and have like all these bodyguards.
all these bodyguards, yeah. So, so something like that in a way. So if the Bible were written today, that's how it's going to go. And also it's a place of glory. So in 21:23 in Revelations it says, "And the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and its lamp is the Lamb." So again, the expression is light. There's a lot of light that's different from any other kind, such that any person can't even look at it. It's hard to look at. That's why in the Old Testament, the glory of God, people can't even really see it because it's too much. So that's the kind of way it's represented in the Bible. I mean, as to how it looks to us today, I don't know.
That's why we have to get transformed so that we can handle that.
Yeah, when we get transformed, we can handle more of God's presence. Otherwise, in our state, we really can't. Now I'm going to judgment. Now, the question is, how do we get to heaven in the new creation? The answer is judgment. That's the transition point. You can't just go to the new heaven or new earth without something happening. It's like we can't just evolve into a resurrected body. That's not going to happen. And our human work, we can't do it by ourselves and become a resurrected body. So God needs to do something, and that something is called judgment, of which I'm going to try to make it sound better, because in a lot of respects, it is something that we need to actually look forward to. It's actually good. So the three topics I have about that is why is that important? What is cosmic judgment, and what is individual judgment? I think for a lot of people we think, just individuals are judged, but actually the whole universe is judged too. I don't know if that's new for you guys.
But we're judged along with everyone else as one.
Mm-hmm.
As one thing.
Like the whole thing, because the other stuff, nature, earth, they need judgment too to get transformed into a new creation. So likewise, similar to how we need the judgment to be transformed, the rest of the universe also needs the cosmic judgment as well. So anyway, I didn't know that was a new concept. Questions? Again, we're gonna go through more charts. The importance of judgment. The theme of judgment in the Bible, it's there. We can't ignore it because it's there all over the place. It's both in the Old and the New Testament. And it's both for the individual and the cosmos. But I realize nowadays, people don't like judgment. People don't like to hear the word judgment. Who likes judgment? So I don't know if some pastors avoid preaching on it because it doesn't sound right, but actually it's part of the Bible, so it's something we need to talk about. So what I'm saying is a good way to think of judgment is that it is what God uses to transition the present world into the new creation. And this is what I was saying earlier, the world won't change by itself. God uses judgment to transform the world into a new creation. So if we can only use a different word for that, there's probably something better. But you can think of something, a way to transition one thing to the next. Like, what do you call that? Whatever that is. You can use a different word. But in the Bible's case, it just uses judgment.
Recycle.
Like what?
Recycle.
Recycle?
Promotion.
Promotion, purification, or because you kind of have to pass through this filter, and then out comes something transformed. So any other term you can use, but the biblical term is judgment. So what it is, it's a purging and liberating of the physical world of the power of decay and death. So now I'm talking the physical world, and not just human beings. Judgment prepares the physical realm for God's fellowship, and the goal is to create a world where God can be with us, like fully, when we can interact and be in fellowship with God and with all of creation. So what God is after is not a fallen world. It's going to be a new world in time that's transformed from the old. So He doesn't get rid of the old world. We're going to get to the fire at some point. Other good reasons for judgment, and these are all good reasons. One, the nature of God as just and holy. You need judgment since God is just, and God is holy. Human actions have to be taken into account. Otherwise, we're not responsible. But we are responsible beings, so we need to be accounted for what we do. There's also human freedom. God doesn't coerce us; He doesn't force us to be good. So again, it ties in with the human action part. That God, we do need judgment because there's human freedom. Also, there's a sense of justice. It must be weird if there's all these evil things that happen in the world today and it doesn't get judged. It's counterintuitive even to our minds. But what God would do is all of that will be accounted for and judged. And finally, heaven. You can't have heaven or a new earth without, you can't have it with sin. That's why you need to have it judged first, and then it'll be no more. So those are other reasons. Any questions? Any thoughts?
Speaking of sins, I think in the part where David was fighting Goliath, and I think when he was killing Goliath, I thought the Bible says that thou shalt not kill, but I don't know how come he still. Even though he killed somebody, then he still get blessed of everything. But then he eventually went to heaven at the end, and sometime at the end of his life. Well, I didn't know. I think he committed another sin too. He had sex with Bathsheba, so that.
Right. Anyway, there's many ways to answer that question.
When he fought with Goliath, he was fighting in the name of the Lord.
Okay,
because they
that's
were
cool.
saying bad things in the name of the Lord,
Yeah, so that's.
So it's kind of like God gave permission to kill Goliath. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just my God.
Well, sometimes God even led His people to fight with their enemies.
Yeah. Anyway, I could give even more responses to that, but that alone is a good way to go at this point. If you were in my, I think you were in my, I gave a class on ethics. We talked about you look at rules, you look at principles, and if you're depending on what the principle is, it drives what the rules are. And if the rules are thou shalt not kill, there's probably a bigger principle there involved. So that incident, or even war with the people of God in the Old Testament, it's probably ruled by another principle where killing would be allowed because God commanded it.
And I remember someone told me that back in the days when they had war, and when they fought one-on-one, it was a fight not just between two people, but it was between their God and
Right.
another God too.
Yeah, because you have, is it Elijah, the prophets against the prophets of Baal.
Yeah.
A lot of false prophets were killed off at that point too. So, because again, it's God against false gods. So anyway, so good questions and responses. So now we go to cosmic judgment. God's judgment is pervasive and comprehensive. So even the gods of nations are condemned, and sometimes even the judgment happens when they get killed by. In some stories in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, even the heavenly beings are subject to judgment, and overall, the whole creation is going to be judged. I have more passages, but it will come right here. The purpose of the cosmic judgment is to liberate creation from the present situation. So Romans 8:20-22. Can someone read that to break the monotony of having my voice?
So the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in the hope that the creation itself would be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now.
Yeah, so what does it say in terms of cosmic judgment, liberation?
Well, we won't have to deal with things ending. We won't have to deal with the pain that we have currently, like our limitations.
Right. We would be liberated from all those things.